Alright, in this video, I'm going to go over the macros that I use on my warrior, and I will explain to you how they're written and what they do. So first, we're going to start with my cooldown macro. This is just a cast sequence macro with a reset of 5, which means if you stop pressing the bind, it will revert back to the first spell in the sequence. So the way this works is, the way that I use this is, in raid, if we're about to pull with like a 5-second timer, in the last 3 seconds, I will start spamming the cast sequence and it will pop my DPS cooldowns, being Blood Fury, then Berserker, and it will use my engineering belt, put me into Berserker Stance if I'm not in Berserker Stance, and start attack. So this is really, really good for raid, because that's how I pretty much do all my openers, is using this key. Another macro that's good. Oh, right now I'm playing arms, so I don't have Death Wish. If I were to play Fury, I would just put Death Wish in front of Blood Fury. If you ever watch my streams, I do it on the fly whenever I go and respec. Another macro that I use a lot is Sweeping Strikes. This is a condition macro. I primarily write all condition macros for any ability that requires a stance, like Overpower requires battle, Rend requires battle and defensive, Sweeping Strikes requires battle, yeah, so on and so forth. So the way this one works is it's a condition macro. Again, it checks if I'm in battle stance. If I'm not in battle stance, it will switch me to battle stance and it will cast Sweeping Strikes. So let's say we're fighting Viscous or Menagerie and I want to do some cleave because Viscous is starting to summon his ads. Then I'll press the macro, we'll switch me to battle stance and it will pop Sweeping Strikes, and I start doing my DPS macro and it will then I have Sweeping Strikes up and bada bing bada boom, we're doing damage. Another macro that I use that's really cool. It's not really prevalent in SoD that much just because we have access to Warbringer, but this is an all-in-one charge macro. So for instance, if I'm not in combat, right, and I'm in Berserker Stance, and I want to charge this target, it will switch me to battle stance, and then it will charge. Now let's say I'm in battle stance or defensive stance, and I want to intercept this target, and I press it, it will switch me to defense or to Berserker Stance, and it will intercept. Now let's say we get out of combat again, right, and we're in like a PvP, for instance, and I want to charge from Berserker Stance off my mount because I don't want to be sapped, because you always want to sit Berserker Stance, you never want to be sapped. It will switch me to battle stance and then it will charge. And then if there's a target over here I want to go for, it will switch me to Berserker Stance. I don't have intercept up right now, but it would intercept me. So that's a pretty cool macro. Again, it's not really that useful in SoD just because we have access to Warbringer, so you most likely will be running Warbringer in PvP. But if you don't run Warbringer and you run Flagellation, then it's a pretty cool macro. Yeah. And then another cool macro that's kind of in the same boat as that one is this is a pummel and shield bash all in one macro. So if I'm in battle stance and I don't have a shield on and I want to pummel, it will switch me to Berserker Stance and it will pummel. Now let's say if I'm in if I'm in defensive stance, it will do the exact same thing. It will switch to Berserker Stance and pummel. But let's say I have a shield on for whatever reason. I need to pop shield wall or shield block or whatever, and I'm in Berserker Stance, and what this macro will do, instead of pummeling, it will put me into defensive stance and it will shield bash. Now, this macro is kind of weird because there are some instances where you would be in Berserker Stance with a shield on, but would you really though? I don't know. So it kind of just switches you back and forth between whatever weapon you have on. It will use the appropriate interrupt for that instance. So again, if I have a two-hander and I'm in battle, it will pummel. If I have a shield on, it will shield bash, which is pretty cool. I will put all these macros in the description below so that you can copy and paste them. I'm not going to go over the change action bar macro, which is my primary DPS macro. It's just a macro that I spam while I'm DPSing, and it does the rotation for me. I have another video for that. I'll put that in the description as well if you want to see it. Same with my weak auras. I won't be going over my weak auras in this video. It will be in the description as well. But that's pretty much it. Like all my other macros are just condition macros. So disarm, it just makes sure that you're in defensive stance. It uses Blood Rage, it disarms. My execute, it makes sure that you're in battle stance or Berserker Stance to execute. If hamstring, again, make sure that you're in battle stance or Berserker Stance to hamstring. Mocking blow, condition macro, make sure that you're in battle stance and it will use mocking blow. Overpower is the same. Make sure that you're in battle stance to overpower. Same as rend, battle stance or to rend. This is a revenge macro. I don't use this macro. Oh, my battle shout macro. This is really good. This is really good macro. So in SoD, we have warriors have 2 shouts, and they're on global cooldown. I don't know why, Blizzard, but so to relieve another bar being used up from another shout, I create a cast sequence for it. So all it does is it has a reset of 3. It will use battle shout, and then if you don't press it, it will go back to battle shout so that you can use battle shout again in 2 minutes. But let's say you want to double buff your party, you just press it twice and it will battle shout and then it will commanding shout. So that's really cool. This is just a shield swapping macro, just a normal shield swapping macro, you know, if you want to shield swap. I don't have a macro to switch to my main handers, but I do have one in here somewhere. I don't really shield wall or go to sword and board very often in raid, so I don't think I've ever used it. That's about it. Yeah. Again, I'll leave all my macros in the description so you can copy and paste them, and that's it, I guess. Bye bye.